The story of TIRESIAS and the snakes. TIRESIAS, the blind seer of Thebes, was unlike any other mortal. His life was marked by transformations, divine interventions, and the weight of foresight that few could bear. Yet, among the many tales told of him, one of the most curious was the story of how he once lived as a woman, and then returned to being a man. The transformation day. As TIRESIAS wandered the slopes of Mount Selene, he came upon two great serpents entwined in the throes of mating. The sight was an omen, but TIRESIAS, perhaps unthinking, perhaps driven by curiosity, struck at them with his staff. In an instant, a divine force swept over him, and he felt his body shift and change. His muscles soft, his form reshaped, and where once stood a man, there was now a woman. Confused and disoriented, TIRESIAS had little choice but to embrace this new life. As a woman, she adapted to her fate and lived for many years. She even took a husband and bore children, experiencing life in a way no other mortal man had. 7 years passed, and once again TIRESIAS found herself in the mountains, walking a path that seemed eerily familiar. Before her were two serpents, entwined just as before. This time, with wisdom earned through experience, she did not strike. Instead, she observed them with reverence. But as fate would have it, she could not escape the god's design. Whether by divine will or the fulfillment of an unseen balance, the same power that had once transformed her now reversed its effect, and TIRESIAS was once more a man. The judgment of the gods. Mata lived out his days in relative peace. Had it not been for a fateful dispute between Zeus and Hera, the king and queen, Olympus were locked in a heated argument about love and desire. Zeus, with his knowing smirk, declared that women experienced greater pleasure than men, while Hera, in her indignation, insisted the opposite. Unable to settle the matter, they sought out TIRESIAS, the only mortal who had lived both as a man and a woman. Summoned before the gods, TIRESIAS, perhaps unwisely, sided with Zeus. A woman, he declared, experiences 10 times the pleasure of a man. Hera, furious at being contradicted, struck him blind in a fit of divine wrath. Yet Zeus, unwilling to let such injustice stand, bestowed upon TIRESIAS the gift of prophecy to compensate for his lost sight. Thus, the seer of Thebes was born, granted wisdom beyond mortal understanding, but forever burdened by the weight of knowing what others could not see. The legacy of TIRESIAS for the rest of his days. TIRESIAS wandered the mortal world, sought by kings and heroes for his insight. He advised Oedipus, foretelling the tragic revelation of his birth. He warned Odysseus in the underworld, guiding him home. He saw the fates of Thebes unfold before his mind's eye, powerless to alter destiny. But perhaps, in the quiet moments between prophecy and fate, TIRESIAS reflected on the strange, unique life he had lived, one of transformation, punishment, and divine knowledge. Few could claim to have experienced the world as both a man and a woman, and fewer still could say they had spoken truth before the gods and survived. And so, TIRESIAS remained not merely a prophet but a similar reminder that wisdom often comes at a price, and that the mysteries of life are known only to those who have walked in more than one set of footsteps.
The story of TIRESIAS, like many Greek myths, exists in multiple versions with variations and additional details. While the core elements, his transformation, role in Zeus and Hera's dispute, blindness, and prophetic gift are well known, other myths and later interpretations expand on his story. Here are some additional episodes that could be considered as new chapters of TIRESIAS' myth. 1. TIRESIAS and his time as a woman. In some versions, TIRESIAS doesn't just passively live as a woman, she fully embraces her new identity. Some stories say she became a priestess of Hera, which makes Hera's eventual punishment even more ironic. Others claim that she became a renowned courtesan in Thebes, sought after for her wisdom and beauty. During this time, she even had children, though their names are largely lost to history. This part of TIRESIAS' story is rarely expanded upon, but it raises interesting themes of gender, identity, and adaptation. Did TIRESIAS feel at home in a woman's body? Did she long to be a man again? Or did she dread the transformation when it finally came? To the prophecies that no one wanted to hear. Once TIRESIAS became a prophet, his life was filled with divine knowledge, but this knowledge was often a curse. Many myths feature him as the bearer of bad news, a seer doomed to reveal truths that no one wanted to hear. TIRESIAS and Oedipus. When Oedipus, king of Thebes, demanded to know the truth about who had murdered the previous king, TIRESIAS hesitated. He knew that revealing the truth would destroy Oedipus. But when forced, he finally spoke. "You are the murderer you seek." This revelation set in motion the tragic fall of Oedipus, TIRESIAS, and Pentheus. When King Pentheus of Thebes mocked Dionysus and his followers, TIRESIAS warned him that resisting the god would lead to ruin. Pentheus ignored him, disguised himself as a woman to spy on the Bacchae, and was ultimately torn apart by his own mother. TIRESIAS and Narcissus in one tale. TIRESIAS was consulted about the fate of the beautiful boy Narcissus. The seer cryptically stated, "He will live long, so long as he never knows himself." This prophecy foreshadowed Narcissus' tragic end, as he fell in love with his own reflection and wasted away. Each of these episodes highlights the burden of TIRESIAS' gift. He saw the future, but his warnings often went unheeded, leading to disaster. 3. TIRESIAS in the underworld. Unlike many mortals, TIRESIAS retained his wisdom even in death. When Odysseus journeyed to the underworld in the Odyssey, he sought out TIRESIAS for guidance. The blind prophet, now a shade among the dead, gave Odysseus crucial advice for his journey home, warning him about the dangers ahead, including the wrath of Poseidon and the perils of the cattle of Helios. TIRESIAS' presence in the underworld suggests that his wisdom transcended even death. He was one of the few shades who retained full awareness, a testament to his unique role as a bridge between gods and mortals. 4. The final fate of TIRESIAS. There are different versions of TIRESIAS' ultimate fate. In one, he died after the fall of Thebes, either from exhaustion or divine will. In another, Athena granted him one final gift, allowing him to keep his wisdom in the underworld, ensuring that his prophecies would never fade. A rare version says he was transformed once more, this time into an immortal being who could move freely between the realms of gods and men, forever a guide to lost souls. TIRESIAS, a life of transformation and knowledge. The story of TIRESIAS is not just about prophecy, it is about change, truth, and the burdens of knowledge. Few figures in mythology have lived in such a unique way, as a man, as a woman, as a mortal, as a prophet, and finally, as a voice from the underworld. His tale challenges perceptions of gender, fate, and the cost of wisdom, making him one of the most fascinating figures in Greek myth. Would you like to expand on any of these parts further?